Hey guys, so I'm back, and if you hear noise in the background, it's probably like my brother or something because my house is freaking loud, even though there's only 3 of us in here right now. So today, I'm doing a more serious video. I've been working on my mental health a lot recently. I've been going to therapy. I am on anxiety meds. And so yeah, it's just a journey. So I want to talk about my OCD and my anxiety and how it began and stuff, because in hopes of teaching someone who doesn't have it, maybe so that they can understand more what it is, or showing someone who does have it that you're not alone and that these things that you're thinking are completely normal, because OCD is probably the most misunderstood mental illness, and it kind of like people just don't really understand it, and it's very weird because you can't even explain why you do the things that you do with OCD. So,
and I've done a video like this on my channel before.
Yeah, and I was in it.
Yeah, we talked about it.
So now this is my channel and we can talk about it and go a little bit deeper. So let's start with where it all began. So we'll let you explain what the beginning of it was.
Okay, so in our living room, our couch is in front of me right now. The couch is facing where we are, and that's where the dog cage is, in between here and the couch. So the door to the cage was facing our couch, and there was a label on the door of the cage. And I started noticing when she was 3 years old, like I would be sitting on the couch, and whenever she would walk from the living room into the kitchen, you have to pass the cage. And whenever she did that, she would rub the label every time she walked in.
A very certain way.
It was a very specific movement that she did. It wasn't just like, oh, a kid's walking by and sliding her hand across stuff. I noticed that she did it in the same way every single time, and she couldn't not do it. And it took once or twice, and I was like, oh my God, she has OCD. I knew immediately that she had OCD.
She also suffers
because
from
I
OCD.
have OCD, and I know the signs of it.
Yeah, I did that for a while, and then if you don't have OCD, basically what happens is over time, your compulsions and your obsessions, they evolve and change. Things may go away and come back. You might just gain new ones randomly. So, yeah, so that's the beginning of my OCD. The beginning of my anxiety, which, I mean, there is no beginning, because, like, I probably had other symptoms before this, but the first thing I can really remember was when I was, like, around 8 years old. My great-grandma passed away, and for some reason, like, I always felt like it was my fault, even though it wasn't. She was sick, and I always felt like it was my fault, and I felt like if I would have said goodbye to her a different way, because I had the chance to say goodbye to her, that it would have been fine, she would have been alive. And so that started a whole thing of me every single night. I would get way too scared to go to sleep. I would get super bad nighttime anxiety. It would take me forever to fall asleep. I wouldn't be able to shut my mind off. I couldn't get tired. And so yeah, like, I mean, the doctors say, like, don't look at screens before bed, but that's, you know, they wouldn't let me do that at the time, but, like, now, like, I need to watch something before bed because it helps me, like, ease my mind. So yeah, because
your anxiety started as it was like only presenting itself at nighttime.
Yeah,
like you didn't really have anxiety during the day. It started.
Like, I was always, like, shy and stuff, but I was just a normal kid. It definitely did get worse over time, though. Like, it started in the night. I tried lots of things like journaling, because they can't put you on medicine at such a young age. So I would try, like, journaling, reading before bed. None of it really worked. So then when I got a little bit older, things got worse. There were, like, a couple panic attacks whenever I get super anxious or my OCD is really bad. I get a stomach ache or a headache. I have, like, social anxiety too. Like, that just takes a lot of energy out of me, like, being social. So anyway, before we get into talking about my symptoms with OCD, I wanted to tell you a story about how people can perceive it the wrong way. So a big misconception is that OCD means that you have to be clean, and it's just a cleanliness disorder. You're always clean, you're always organized. If things aren't clean, then that freaks you out, and that's what OCD is. I used to have a friend.
That's more so a germaphobe.
Yeah.
That
can be part of OCD.
That's a form of OCD that's more germophobic than...
But that's a very, very small part of it. Like, OCD comes in so many different forms. It's different for everyone. So, this girl that I was friends with, she's super toxic. I felt comfortable enough to tell her about my OCD. And she completely shut me down. She was like, no, you don't have it. You're not organized enough. You're messy. You don't have OCD. Like, it's just like, no. And I tried to explain to her what OCD was. She was like, that's not what it is. As if she knows what it is. But like, yeah. So I feel like if people had more of an open mind and knew what it was, then it would be easier for people to talk about it. Because if you suffer from an embarrassing mental illness like that, then you'll feel more comfortable if people validate you. Like, it's not something that you're openly like, yeah, I have OCD, I do all these weird things. You don't want to talk about it, really. So I guess we'll get into my symptoms. I have a lot of things written down, so we'll kind of...
And I would say, like, at least 98% of her OCD symptoms, we share the same exact OCD.
And you can't always tell by like looking at a person that they have it, like, because a lot of it is mental, because there's two sides of it. There's compulsions, which are things that you do, and then there's obsessions, which are the anxieties that you get that the compulsions kind of help relieve almost. So yeah, and some people have more of just obsessions and more of just compulsions. It just depends on the person. So here's some of my compulsions. The first one, I have this thing with chargers. Okay, so I have two of my own chargers, a phone charger and an iPad charger, and I don't bring them out here because I have like this weird irrational fear. I don't want to mix them up with other people's chargers. If someone else accidentally uses my charger, like, it really doesn't matter, it's the same thing, but to me that would bother me so much. I also check multiple times at night to make sure I unplugged my electronics, because I have this fear of like the house burning down or something, or dying. And that's definitely from my dad. My dad has that, like, the house is gonna burn down fear. And this sounds really stupid to someone who doesn't have OCD, but one night, I've actually talked to my therapist about this. I had a pillow sitting at the foot of my bed, and it was sitting at the foot of my bed, like it sat at the foot of my bed for a long time and nothing's ever happened. But for some reason that night, I felt like I was almost gonna cry. I felt like if I didn't move it, my whole family was gonna die and the house was gonna burn down. I don't know, it just happened. I think I told her about this, but that happened one night, so I had to move it and put it on my beanbag, and it hasn't been back on my bed since.
Yeah, you never told me that.
Yeah, so that was an interesting one.
OCD, that's one of the specific things that some people have. They have these thoughts that are intrusive and they're irrational, but you can't help it.
Yeah. You get random thoughts that just come into your head that you don't want to think about. My therapist calls them automatic thoughts, but I call them intrusive thoughts. So yeah, the next symptom is, I just wrote down Uno cards because
I was looking over there and I saw that you wrote that, because I know
it's not just Uno, but whenever we play
Okay.
any type of card game or a board game with cards or like fake money or anything, I am constantly, it annoys them. I'm putting my hands on the cards like whenever they take a turn, because I have to move it, because if it's not stacked like neatly, it bothers me like a lot. It seriously bothers me.
I have the same issue with cards and things, but even though I understand that she does it and why she does it, because I do the same thing, even hers is worse than mine, and I'm like, oh my god.
I have to do it after like every time someone puts a card down, and I do it in front of my friends too, and yeah. So turning objects is the next thing. Sometimes when you have an object sitting, like it could be any item. For me, sometimes it's pencils. Like if I'm sitting at my desk, my pencil has to be facing a certain way. My water will have to face a certain way.
I've never talked to you about that before, but the pencil thing, I used to do that in school. You know how they have that little dip at the edge of the desk and your pencil sits in it?
Yeah.
What?
My lead had to always be facing left.
Yeah, same. Yeah, always has to be. Well, also I have mechanical pencils, so the little piece that like can like hook on things, I guess, that always has to be facing me. So like, you know, turning objects. I know a lot of people have that. Okay, so the next one is a lot of people have an obsession with left and right. It's different for everyone. For me, I like to do things in a pattern of right, left, right. I always end on right. Sometimes I even start on right, but it always has to go back to right. So like if I'm stepping on things, stairs, stepping on cracks, touching things, it has to be right, left, right. Like even like for instance, my iPad, I can be watching videos or something and hitting the power button. If I hit it with my right hand, the next time it has to be with my left hand. And then the last time I do it, it has to be with my right hand. Like I can't end on my left hand. I'll redo it until I get it to my right hand because it bothers me a lot.
And I have this with her the same way, except mine's on the left always. I always, everything I do has to end on the left.
That bothers me so much.
And we are like mirrors of each other.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I'm right-handed and she's left-handed. That's my own like opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's my theory. But yeah, we do the exact same thing, only I always have to end on the left, she always has to end on the right.
Yeah, and that's another common compulsion that a lot of people have is left and right types of things. The next thing is I didn't really see this as an OCD until recently when my therapist was reading different symptoms to me. Food expiration. And it's not just expiration, it's a lot of things that I'll get into. So with food expiration, if the food passes the expiration date, it could be one day. By one day, I can't eat it. It bothers me so much. Like even if it looks fine. Or they'll force me to eat it sometimes because they're like, it's one day, you're fine. So I'll have to like really inspect it first and like I make sure that it's good. Another thing is with my meat. I'm not picky about meat. Like I eat everything. I'm not picky. But if I see the tiniest bit of pink, it freaks me out. Like in my chicken and my like burgers. Like I'm also kind of a texture person, so if my meat texture is weird, that just throws me off.
I have both of these things that she has, except hers are far worse. Like the pink thing, and like I will, like I'm done. If I see pink, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I've had that ever since I was a child. The expiration date thing I have with certain items. I don't have it as bad as she has it. Like if a condiment is outdated, to me it's just a condiment. It's fine. But if it's like bread, milk, eggs, even canned foods, like things like that, then I'll, even if it's before the expiration date and I know that it's about to expire in like a day or two, I'll still throw it out.
Yeah.
But you're like that with literally everything.
Yeah.
I'm not like it with everything.
The other day, so we have 2 bottles of creamy Italian dressing, and one of them was old, and it was past the expiration date by like, I don't even know, not that long. And because we had a new one, I decided to open that, and my dad got really mad because he's one of those people, it's like a parent thing. Don't even say no. It's literally a parent thing. It's fine. You wasted the food. Use the old one first. But I couldn't do it. I could not bring myself to do it, so I only used the new bottle. The only thing that I'm okay with is like stale chips. Half the time I don't really notice that much. Like
I can't do
it's
stale
gross, but like chips. I don't really. It's not like, it's not giving me the fear that I'm gonna get sick or something or die from it. Another thing with food is my food cannot touch. Call me a little kid all you want. I use sectioned trays for some foods, or like it'll annoy them because they'll have to do more dishes, because sometimes they'll be like, yeah, get me a plate, but can I have an extra bowl and an extra plate for these 2 things? Because if it touches, I can't eat it. I just can't.
I have
with
been
juicy
that way
things,
my whole life.
like the juices, if they mix, that's disgusting. Like, and I dip things in condiments.
Yours are a tiny bit more extreme than me, but I am the same way. My food can't touch each other, but like you're like that. Where like if you were to have corn and peas, which are literally just 2 vegetables with some juices, they can't even touch. Those juices can't even touch each other. To me, they're like similar, so it doesn't matter to me. But when it comes to like something with the juices in it, can't touch anything else. So if you have a burger with a bun or a piece of bread or something that's gonna get soggy,
well, that's gross.
That's really nasty. But like I don't want it to touch anything else either.
But like see, like, there are some food combinations and things that, like, are perfectly normal to me and I eat, so that's, like, a different thing. And, like, you know, I use, like, condiments and stuff and dip it in. That's different. But
yeah,
it's just, if there's, like...
We'll put, like, corn on top of mashed potatoes.
Yeah,
That's
or I'll, like, dip my chicken in mashed potatoes. Like, that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But if there's, like, a bunch of juicy things on my plate, like, I can't do it. So the next one is a really big one for me that I've been struggling with a lot lately. Like, this one I didn't really struggle with until last year, honestly. So I guess I'll tell a little backstory about this one. So, a big obsession / like compulsions that people have that are common in OCD are religion. Sometimes there can be certain things that make you feel like you're defying your religion. You're like disobeying God or something, and so you get a big fear. That's an obsession of yours, and so there's certain things that you just feel like you can't do because you feel like you're gonna like go to hell for it or something. So basically numbers. So I have, well, mine's a little bit different.
But I thought it was easier to explain than it is, though. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that I like understood my number thing, where I would just be like, yeah, I only like even numbers and I don't like odd numbers. But that's not true at all. It's specific numbers. It has nothing to do with even and odd. Like volumes on a TV or a radio, like it can be on the number 15 and that's an odd number. That doesn't bother me. But and it can be on like 27 if it ends in a 7. It's fine with me. But nothing can end in a 6. It can't be like 21. Like, that's too odd.
No, like, things, okay. So, I've talked to my therapist about this, too. This is something that we've been working on for weeks now. I talk to her about it every day. Not every day, every week. And so, I have a lot of things with numbers. And this, again, just started up, like, 2 years ago, last year. So, the number 6, I avoid at all costs. I can't, if I look at it, I have to... Basically, how I redeem myself is what I would call it, or how I punish myself, is like, for instance, if I see the clock, and the clock says, like, 2:06 or something, I will have to watch it until it changes. Because I can't stand the thought of looking at that. I think it's also...
Ours is the same, but we do it differently.
Yeah, like, what I talked about with the whole religion thing, that's part of it. Like, it's like, I feel like it's, like, an evil number. Not only with that, but I have, like, safe numbers. So my safe numbers, there's 4 because they're like all from different groups, I guess. It makes no sense, but 0, 1, 2, and 7. Those are my favorite numbers, like my safe numbers that I turn to when I'm feeling uncomfortable with something. Like I watch the clock and I have that favorite time on the clock. 12:07 is my favorite time. Don't know why. Or when I look at the clock.
12:07 is your favorite time?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Because of the numbers and how it has like a bit of each group.
That's funny.
And
12 is one of my favorite numbers. See, 7 is my number, like my safe number, but 9 and 12 are also my safe numbers, but I think it's
I don't like 9.
But I think it's only because that's my birthday, 9/12.
No.
And so I associate that with something good because it's my birth date.
Yeah.
And so then 9 and 12, I'm okay.
I used to like the number 3 and now I don't like it anymore. It scares
I'm
me.
okay with 3.
And I think it
I'm
scares
okay with
me
3 when it's alone.
No, I think it scares me because it's half of 6. And that really doesn't make sense, but it does. It's like a thing.
You really need to stop saying that number. Because
I know.
Okay, I have to say, every time she says it, every time I hear it or see it, I immediately think 777 in my head. I go 777.
Yeah, especially because of like, if
I don't
you know,
even count.
You know the number.
I don't even count that number. Like I skip it.
Yeah.
So like in my car, if your seatbelt isn't on, it beeps at you, you know, and it beeps exactly 6 times. And in my mind, because I have to count the beeps, but I count over. I just count directly to 7.
I always round up with things, yeah. But another thing
I'll
is...
go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
So yeah,
7.
I watch the clock. I don't know if my parents ever noticed that, but sometimes when I'm watching TV, I will be sitting there and watching the clock next to it instead of watching a TV. It's really distracting, really annoying.
I don't wait for it to change. I just pretend it says 7 in my head.
Not only that, but with ads, and also we watch 90 Day Fiancé on TLC, and they have like little countdowns at the bottom of the screen. And I'm sitting there watching the countdown the whole time because when I look away, like I can't look away. I just have to watch the countdown. So yeah, I have to watch the countdown. yeah, numbers are a huge one for me right now, and it's something that I've been struggling with really bad. So the next one, we just talked about numbers. This one is blinking. I don't know if my mom does this.
How do you not notice? That's the most
well, actually,
noticeable thing.
Sometimes I'll see my mom do something, and when she does something, for some reason, it starts making me do it.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll catch things from my parents.
I do.
But
just us talking about it is making me want to blink so much.
So blinking, for me, it's not just randomly blinking either. I have to feel myself blink when I'm looking at certain things. Like, I'll look at someone's face, like, on a TV, if their face is shown, I have to, like, blink on it a few times. I do it 5 times usually. That's, like, the number for that one. Yeah, I do it. I, like, blink on their face 5 times. And if it stops showing their face and comes back, I have to redo it. So that's really annoying. But yeah, that's a short one. But blinking is definitely a thing that I've been doing for... Actually, okay, it started a long time ago, like years ago. The blinking thing started with I would look at lights, bright lights, and blink at the lights. I had to just blink at the lights. It's weird. This is an embarrassing video, but I think it's good to get this information out because it's real stuff. The next thing is pen clicking. This one isn't like something that I constantly do. It's just when I'm using a pen, I have to like click it a lot until it feels right. Like if you have OCD, you understand it. You just do something till it feels right. Sometimes you don't really know. It'll feel right when it feels right, you know? And I know she does this too.
Yeah.
And I pen click in my right hand, even though I'm a lefty, because again, the right, left, right thing. So the next thing is I will write when I'm writing on a piece of paper. I write things super hard because I have to like feel it, so I'm like it gets super dark. And if the handwriting looks bad, I rewrite it like 100 times. Sometimes if I write something and it looks really good, I like don't even erase it because like that's another thing is like erasing things or getting rid of things, deleting things, like anything like that can be like an obsession of yours. You feel like you need it, you feel like you can't get rid of it for some reason. So sometimes instead of erasing something that I'm like really proud of how the handwriting looks or something, I'll like cross it out. And even though it looks bad, just crossing it out, I just cross it. I don't know why. I don't know if you do that stuff, like the writing thing at all.
I don't know.
But the next thing is when it's like a grocery list or something, I like striking through it because it feels really nice. And I go right, left, right.
I think normal people strike things out on a list.
No, yeah, but like really hard because you like to feel it. It's super satisfying, and I go right, left, right. The next one is something that I do.
I said that. I think normal people. We're not normal.
So, the next thing that I've been doing a lot lately is every time I come into the kitchen, there's placemats on our kitchen table. And if it's messed up, I sit here and I fix it really quick before I like leave the room or whatever.
I do that.
Because I don't like them when they're like crooked and like weird. The next thing is I don't really know how much of OCD this is. I know there's something called dermatillomania, but I don't have that. But scratching and picking, I do pick my skin.
Dermatillomania.
Yeah, she picks her lips.
I pick my lips raw until they bleed.
Yeah.
And they hurt, and it doesn't matter if it hurts, I'll still pick it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I bite my lips. But, so I pick my face. If I have a blemish or something, I pick it till it bleeds. I used to scratch my head until it bleeds. I actually have, like, one right now. I would scratch my legs. Even when they're not itchy anymore, I scratch them until it feels right. You know, I don't know, like, and I have to go, like, down, up, down. I always have to stop down. Yeah, I pick my skin whenever my fingers are like dry. I'll pick around my fingers. But again, I don't think I have dermatillomania necessarily because I don't really do it to an extreme amount. Yeah, I'll do it till it hurts or until it bleeds, but I don't like leave visible like huge scars or anything.
I do. I remember a couple of months ago, there was a scab or something on my head. I probably caused it myself, and I'm not usually like a head picker. It's just my lips. But there was something on my head that I kept picking at so much. And I looked at my hand and it was just full of blood. I picked it to where my head was just gushing blood.
Bro, she made fun of me.
It was that one mark. Or is that one spot though? You just keep like scratching.
I'm literally scratching right now and I didn't even notice. I'm just scratching
my lips. I've done the lip picking since I was born.
Yeah.
And I've had that my whole life. Mm-hmm. And and in those days, nobody knew, like, that's caused by an actual thing, like a
Yeah.
So I didn't know what
I've
it
never
was.
picked my lips, but I do bite my lips. So if my lips are dry or something, I'll bite it until all the skin's off, and it like can just regrow. I don't know, and it can just like start over.
So if you ever see me and I have really raw, nasty lips, that's why.
But I've left like scars on my legs because I scratched them so much. So if you ever see, it's not. And also, I just want to preface this, like, I think Colleen said this in her video. It's not self-harm. We're not trying to like
Right.
hurt ourselves. We're not. Like, it's not because I'm depressed and I want to hurt myself. It's just
Right. I was picking my lip when I was 5.
It's
There's
just a
no such thing as
compulsion.
there's just no such thing as self-harm when you're 5.
Yeah.
I still do it. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not picking the skin off my lips and bleeding.
Yeah. So the next thing is checking. Checking is again one of the most common compulsions. For me, sometimes what I'll do is like if I'm grocery shopping with my dad, when I shut the trunk, when I sit down in my seat, I'll always ask, is the trunk shut all the way? Is it shut? Because I get scared that it's gonna open. Like my dad does similar things. Like he always, when he comes home, he pulls on all of my mom's door handles to make sure they're locked. He makes sure all the doors are locked, all the like the ovens off and stuff.
When he gets the mail for his dad, he always drives around the block at least twice to make sure that the garage door's shut. Even though he knows he shut it, he still has to drive around the block and double check it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really annoying. He'll ask me like, "Did I shut it?" And I'll be like, "I don't
And
know."
we'll say yes, you shut it, but he still has to check it.
Yeah. So the next thing is sometimes with checking, I'll always be checking on my stuff to make sure someone didn't steal it. Like if I'm somewhere and my stuff is like at a distance or something, like for instance like at the pool or something, I'm always like looking and make sure no one stole it. The biggest one for me right now as far as checking is when I'm at school. I have a water bottle in one side pocket and my coffee in the other, and I am always sitting there feeling it. Like I literally while I'm walking hold it to make sure that it stays in my bag, and I know in my head like it's stayed. And not only that, but like if I lose a reusable or not a recyclable water bottle, like it's not a big deal, you know. But I sit there and I have to make sure that it's still there. And I also feel for my zipper to make sure all my zippers are closed and everything's still there, and make sure my phone's still there. Zippers, like she leaves her purse zipper open all the time and her Diet Coke cap off, and it bothers me so much. And she'll be like, "It's not your purse, get your hands off my purse," because I have to zip it because you can't keep open. That bothers me so much. One time
I don't just leave it all the way open. Sometimes I just don't zip it all the way completely, and that look, I can see
it's not even fully zipped right now.
It's not fully zipped right now, and this would bug the shit out of you. Can see
Zip
this.
it.
There's this. I can stick my finger.
Like
in there.
I'm not even kidding. You have to zip it
Yeah,
because like that bothers me so much. It literally it kills me seeing something that's open. Like another thing, I don't use pockets. I don't trust them because they don't zip. Another thing, I'm kind of indecisive.
This is the most annoying one.
Okay, so I can't make a decision to save my life. And it's not because I just like can't decide, because I think if I lived by myself, I could probably do it. I need to please the people around me. So I don't want to make a decision that's gonna disagree like with what someone else thinks I should decide to do. So I always ask for validation, like, am I okay? Are you sure I'm not annoying? Are you sure I'm making the right decisions? Things like that. It probably annoys them a lot, and it annoys them that I ask them to help me decide with everything. And sometimes when I make a decision, I feel like the other thing that I'm not deciding, I'm not going to get a chance to ever choose that ever again or something. Like, it just bothers me. I just suck at choosing things. I am a people pleaser, and so if I choose something that's going to, like, I don't know why my decision would hurt someone else's feelings, but that's what my brain tells me, so. Yeah, so the next one, I don't really do this anymore, but I mean, I still kind of do it in my head, and I do it when I'm writing sometimes, but I don't say this anymore. And I didn't even notice I did it really until my mom brought it up to me.
Before she ever noticed it, because she did this at a really, really young age, to where she probably didn't even understand what she was doing and why she was doing it. She was super young, but I do the same thing, so that's why I noticed it.
So, yeah, so basically sometimes I'll say a word, like okay, for instance, And what I used to do was, under my breath, I didn't think anyone could notice, and I didn't even really notice myself. I would whisper, like, all right, a synonym for it. And I did that with so many things. If there was a synonym for a word, it's the same thing as the deciding thing. I couldn't decide, so I would say something, and then the other thing I would have to say too. Because I guess with OCD, you always have to feel balanced, and that balances it. If you say both things, you're balancing it.
Yeah, I did the same thing. She would go, yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I do that, only I don't say it out loud because I know it sounds dumb to do it. So I'll say okay and then think the word all right in my head immediately after. I'll just think the other word and then no one knows I'm doing anything.
Yeah. So another thing, sometimes, when, for instance, I'm on Instagram, there are two things. I scroll up and down. I like to use my right thumb because it's my right side. I scroll up and down until it feels right. Like, I'll scroll to the picture and then I'll have to go back up and back down. Or when I like it, I have to like the picture multiple times until it feels right. Another thing is if I'm watching like YouTube or something and I like a comment, I can't just like one comment. I have to like an odd number of them. Usually like 5 or 7 or something. Like, I always have to like a certain amount of comments in a row. It's really weird. I don't know if you do anything like
I didn't
that.
know you did that.
Yeah, I don't really talk about it. Another thing that I, again, didn't really think of as OCD until recently, but I know other people that have certain things like this. I don't like people to touch my stuff, my things, whatever. See, I just
Stuff,
did it.
things.
Yeah, I don't want people to touch my items. So.
And stuff and things.
Yeah, and stuff and things. So, it's always been a thing. Like, I never shared, like, I'm a nice kid, okay? And I was a nice kid, but I never shared my toys, never shared anything. Because I did not like the idea of other people touching my stuff. It's always been like that. Like, I used to never let my brother sit on my bed. I hated it. He couldn't touch my toys. He couldn't touch any of my stuff. It's kind of like with the chargers. Like, I don't want people to have them. My blankets, they stay in my room. I don't bring them out here and use them on the couch. I don't like people touching my stuff. So that's period. Anyway, the next thing is I grind my teeth a lot. I've done this for a long time. It gives me headaches a lot, and it's really bad to do. But I grind my teeth a lot. And I've done it for many years, and I do it without even noticing sometimes. Next, so these are kind of, again, like, my mom doesn't even know about some of these things. So whenever I eat ice cream, you know how, like, you can eat it, like, normally, but then you can also flip the spoon so that the ice cream goes immediately on your tongue? I will flip it every other bite to, like, so that I can, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. I just have to do that every other bite. Same thing with chips. Sometimes I will eat one the way I pick it up, and then the next time I'll flip it and eat it that way. It's very random, very strange. So, the next thing, there's 2 left of just compulsions. The next thing is, well, actually, this isn't a compulsion, but if I do a ritual wrong, I'm pretty sure other people will do this too. You either have to skip another ritual, or do another ritual wrong to balance it out, or you do this same ritual extra times to balance it out. So if I do something wrong or miss something, I have to skip another one, or, you know, like, I have to make it equal. Otherwise I, like, start feeling guilty. And then finally, the last compulsion that I have, that I wrote down, is, sometimes on Instagram, I will post more and more pictures, not just because I want to post the pictures, but sometimes I'll post the pictures just to redeem myself and push the other ones farther down because I don't want to delete them, but I feel like they're not good enough and I want to make myself better and better each time. So I'll just post more and more and more. So that's my compulsions, but I just want to talk a little bit about intrusive thoughts and, like, obsessions. There's only a few. So the first intrusive thought that is actually a really common one that I have, is sometimes you'll just get a random thought, what if I jumped out of the car? I should open the door and jump out of the car and see what happens. And you know you wouldn't actually do it. And, like, in no way, again, is it like some sort of self-harm or anything. You wouldn't actually do this. But you get those thoughts. You visualize yourself doing it, and you're like, what if kind of thing.
Yeah, these are only thoughts, and that's why they're intrusive, because you don't want to think it. It pops in your head. So it's in no way a form of depression or suicide. It's just a thought that you can't help that it popped in your head.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
You hate them. You, like, sometimes I feel really embarrassed. I'm like, wow, I'm a terrible person for thinking that. But anyway, the next intrusive thought is, I don't really know if anyone else has this one, but sometimes I'll be like, what if I just stood up and screamed in the middle of class and, like, started, like, screaming at people? I don't know. It's just really random. You get that weird impulse to do that, and obviously you, again, wouldn't, but you get the impulse to do that. Another one is thinking that your family's gonna die. That's a big one. Sometimes when I'm on the bus, and if I have had, like, an argument with my parents that morning or something, I will freak out on the bus and be like, great, I had an argument with them, they're gonna die now, or, like, I'm gonna die or something. Or if you don't do a compulsion ride or something, you think they're gonna die, or you're gonna die, or someone's gonna die. And so sometimes it's really gross. It's really bad because you get graphic images of that in your head, like you just picture that happening. And again, you don't want to, but yeah. The next one is, for me, this is a really, really big one. It's something that I've been dealing with. Every single compulsion that I have, every single anxiety that I have, it goes back to this. Thinking that I'm a bad person. It's kind of like an idea of right versus wrong. I have black and white thinking. My therapist described it to me as imposter syndrome. Don't know if you ever heard of that before, but it's kind of like thinking that you're a fake and that you're an imposter and that you don't deserve the things that you have. So, for instance, if people are saying you're a good student, you have straight A's, you are good at school, you'll think, I didn't work hard for that, I didn't earn that, I didn't do any of the work.
I'm the same.
I didn't do any of that. Like
I have the imposter.
Yeah,
thing.
Every single
Anytime
day.
I was beating another kid in something in school, I would purposely fail it so that they would beat me, even though I could easily beat them in whatever it is that we were doing, because I felt bad that I could so easily beat them in something, and I would let everybody win everything all the time.
Yeah, I'm I'm a people pleaser. I don't like the idea, like, I am just constantly thinking I'm a bad person. Everything I do, I'm a bad person.
Her thoughts of I'm a bad person, this is one of the earliest ones that she had too. This, along with the touching the cage and anxiety at nighttime, this was one of the very first ones.
Yeah.
Because when you're a kid, you don't know how to really express yourself, like what you're really actually thinking and feeling. And the only thing that she would express is, I'm a bad person, I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why she was thinking that, because she wasn't able to vocalize this that she's vocalizing now. But at the time, this is what she was doing, and all I heard was, I'm a bad person. And I'm like, are you crazy? You're such a good kid. Because she wasn't able to explain to me why she thought that. And so I didn't understand that until she got old enough to be able to describe to me exactly what she meant by that, and then I understood it.
Yeah, and then I'm always seeking validation, making sure that I'm, like, doing things right. I always feel like I do everything wrong. Every time I do something, I get anxiety, so I'm like, what if I do it wrong?
I'm the same way.
But I think it started with my trauma of when my great-grandma died. That's really when things started getting bad, because like I said, I felt really guilty, because, like, I guess that's kind of where my whole I'm a bad person thing started, because
she felt guilty because she didn't give her a hug by.
Yeah, we went to the hospital. That was the last time I saw her. My little brother, he was like, oh, bye, grandmama, like, bye. We called her grandmama. And he was, like, being super sweet and saying bye. And and now that I'm older, like, I realized, like, I didn't really understand. So, like, I was just like, I want to go home. And I was like, bye. And I didn't think it was the last time I was going to see her.
Well, none of us.
And so
really
I was like,
thought that.
bye. And I was like a brat. And so when I went home,
You weren't really a brat either. You were just ready to. It was late, and you were like, bye.
I literally, when the day that they told me that she passed away, right before that, I was praying. I literally was praying to God, like, please let her have lived. Please let her have lived. I need another chance to say bye to her. Like, I need another chance. And it's really sad, but at a young age, I was super self-aware, and I just thought I was super bad. And so when they told me, I was crushed, and that's really what started everything, because I just felt like a bad person from that moment on.
But honestly, it's not like that caused it. I think that you had all of this within you anyway.
Yeah.
That was just the catalyst that
was the big thing that I was like, I actually did do that wrong. So, like, you know.
You didn't do anything wrong. That's the thing.
Yeah. And the next two are just like, I already talked about this earlier. People have religious fears and things like that. And then another intrusive thought that people don't ever talk about because it's super embarrassing.
I've never told you this. I've never told anyone
this.
It's
super embarrassing, and it's super, like, when you think about it, you think that you're a crazy person. You think that you're this disgusting, despicable human being when you are thinking about it. But people have a lot of sexual or just the forbidden thoughts that just kind of come into your mind randomly that you don't want. Like, for instance, sometimes I'm straight, but sometimes I'll see a girl and she could be really pretty or whatever, and I'll look at her and I'll be like, oh my god, I'm checking her out. I'm a terrible person. I'm checking her out. She thinks I'm a creep. I'm a creep. And I just think I'm a creep. I'm disgusting.
Mine aren't like that. Mine are different, and I'm not going to tell anybody what mine are because they're embarrassing. And
I have other ones too. It's just like, from a young age too. That's another thing. I've had them from a young age, which is really weird. They're just really graphic images that pop into your head that are forbidden, wrong, sexual, like things that you just don't want to talk about. And so I'm not gonna say what they are.
Yeah.
Because I haven't even told anyone them ever, and I don't really want to because it's weird and it's embarrassing.
Yeah, me and her are very open with each other.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that I think that we have avoided telling each other the details of because it's kind of our one thing that we are more than anything else embarrassed of, even though we can't control it. When it comes to this particular OCD thing, I have never told her ever any of my sexual thoughts that pop in my head, and I don't know.
I didn't even know she had any.
I don't tell any. I've never told my husband.
She probably didn't even know I have any.
I don't tell any. Mine isn't like yours where, oh, I thought I was checking out a girl.
Well, it's not just that.
I know, but mine are different, very specific.
It's almost like, it's almost like a fantasy or something, or like almost like a kink that you get that you don't really have, but the images pop into your head. So anyway,
that's exactly what it is, and I don't like to talk about it. It's embarrassing.
So that's everything. If you want to see another video with me just going more in depth with my anxiety and less just not my OCD, more about my anxiety, then I can definitely do that. But yeah, I wrote this like paragraph that I wanted to say, I guess. So yeah, I wish more people would make videos about OCD. I like watching people talk about it because it makes me feel less alone. And I want everyone to just get rid of the stigma so that people suffering from it can feel more normal. Because most of us feel very crazy because unlike others with mental illness, like OCD is very hard to explain. That's why Lele Pons, she came out with the docu-series about hers, and I'm really grateful for that because her talking about her problems, like it really helps because she doesn't have a perfect life, and you know. And she also has Tourette's with it, so like it's, you know. And they're like, you don't know a lot of people and a lot of celebrities with OCD. Like Howie Mandel is the one person you think of, you know?
And it's because he's a germaphobe, but you don't think of his other OCDs. All you think of is he's a germaphobe, but that's a form of OCD.
Yeah.
So he has other things too that have nothing to do with the germ part of it. It's OCD is such a big, broad thing.
Yeah. So please don't leave any hate for this because it's something that you and like I feel very ashamed of. If you have it, you feel ashamed of it, and you don't really like talking about it. So if you see someone that might have it or know someone that might have it, please don't be super quick to judge them.
Yeah.
You don't really know exactly what's going on in their head. It could be a problem. They could be trying to sort it out. Just know that they didn't choose to have that. They didn't say like, well, no, I'm going to do this.
No one chooses anything.
Yeah. So I hope this video can educate people who are unaware. Did I say underwear? Who are unaware about the truth about OCD, or just help people find comfort. I cannot talk. Comfort in the fact that they aren't alone. So yeah, if you have a friend or family member who struggles with this, maybe you can now understand them better and yeah, just hopefully this helps out.
But if they do struggle with something like OCD, most things I'm usually like, why don't you go ask them questions and talk to them about it? But when it comes to OCD, I think that's the one thing I'm like, maybe don't do that, because then they feel like a personal attack, like they notice something about me and now I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
So don't, unless someone is completely open with talking about it and they let it be known they want to talk about it. But other than that, don't just blurt out something to someone with OCD or go up to someone and say, I noticed you did this. Do you have OCD? Like, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, if you notice it, don't bring it up. It could even not be OCD, like, but if you notice someone doing something weird or like looking distracted and doing that, it's really gonna embarrass them and it's gonna feel like you're singling them out. So I would suggest not asking them about it.
That ties into what my video was when I did the mental health video on anxiety and OCD. It was a lot of it was talking about shame and feeling ashamed. So if you want to check out my video on that, it's on my channel, Tanya Elkins.
And don't invalidate people that do have OCD and you just think that they don't because, like, you don't understand it. This is another reason why, because I don't want you to be like my ex-friend who, you know, just thought it was one thing and tried to tell me that I didn't have it, even though she didn't know what it was. So yeah.
Very good video.
Thank you.
She got real in depth, and she was so well planned out on this because of her OCD.
Yeah.
And not only that, she's also a Virgo. We're both Virgos.
Yeah.
We both have anxiety and OCD.
That's actually an anxiety thing. Like, if I'm doing anything, I have to feel really prepared, to be practiced, that's something that I always have to. I'm prepared for everything. And I don't do something unless I'm prepared for it. So, yeah, that's why I'm bad at improv. Anyway. Oh, also, leave your OCDs in the comments below. I would like to see if you have any of the same compulsions as me or anything. Yeah. If you're uncomfortable, then don't. But if you're comfortable, I'd like to see so I can relate to someone.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to know that other people do the really strange things that you do, because you feel very alone. So I feel like me and you are very fortunate that we share a lot of the same OCDs, because we can bounce off each other, be like, oh, I do that too, you do that. And we feel a little bit less weird. But a lot of times people are struggling with it all by themselves, like I was my whole life.
Yeah, and even with Dad. Because now that it's 2020, people are more open about it and understand what it is. And since both of my parents have both anxiety and OCD, like...
I wasn't diagnosed till adulthood because nobody knew this stuff when I was younger.
But now that both of my parents have it, like, it helps me get through it because
because I understand her. I understand what she's going through. And why she's doing the things she's doing, and I don't call her out on it.
Yeah.
Except for the card thing, because it's annoying. Because I do it too, but like she does.
Well, because even I know it's annoying because it takes a lot of energy. You have to fix
I know.
every time. So I'm like, oh.
Exactly. We don't want to do it either.
Yeah, that's why it's annoying when people mess up the deck and they just put all the cards all over the place. Just fix it when you put it on neatly. It's not that hard. So, moral of the story: don't mess up the card deck when you're playing with Virgos. Bye.